Supposedly one of the most well-animated shows of all time, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bladeworks. We're talking about that coming up. So hey guys, if it's your first time here, my name is Samurai Kibiji, in which I'm a geek/nerd, not really sure which one sums it up better, whose goal is to upload entertaining content every single week for you guys. So if it's your first time here, check out the channel, consider subscribing. So as I mentioned in the intro, today we're gonna talk about a very not new anime. It's got a movie coming up, which is cool, and honestly the movie looks pretty gorgeous, I'll say. But yeah, no, I've done 2 of these reviews and I felt like doing one for even this older show that I just recently watched and I've been meaning to watch it for a long freaking time. Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bladeworks. Say that 5 times fast. That is a freaking mouthful. I guess it's better than saying bu 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 bu. And yeah, this anime came out a couple years ago, but for its time, it was definitely something that was noticeable. It generated a few spin-off series, and you know, it's definitely made its presence throughout the years. So I'm gonna review this show today, and without any spoilers also. I'm gonna keep it spoiler-free, just in case by now people haven't seen it. And at the end, of course, I'd love you guys to leave your comments down below and put like a spoiler alert and then press a spacebar faster than you... What? Faster than, you know, you struggling out of a trap in a video game pressing that A button? God, that hurts my wrists. And then leave your comment, that's totally fine. But yeah, what's Fate Stay Night? Oh my God. For the rest of this review, I'm just gonna call it Unlimited Bladeworks. That's what I've been calling it. It really helps to get rid of 3 words. So Unlimited Bladeworks premise is basically, oh, there's so many details, but to sum it up, there's this holy grail war that happens, and it's in like our modern day, by the way. It's not in like a other world or different time or whatever. It's just the kind of modern day Earth or whatever. And that happens every, I believe, 10 years. I believe that's what it is. There's a lot of stuff for me to keep track of this. But yeah, there's this holy grail war that happens every decade, and basically where there's 7 different meisters, mages, masters, or whatever you want to call them. There's so many different titles in this show. And each of these masters gets to summon a servant that is their assist in all this. And the goal is basically for these 7 different meisters and servants pairings, and for the last one alive or standing gets to claim the Holy Grail and get their wish granted. あなたが私のマスターか? So that's the show's premise. Like that's what makes that's the foundation of everything that happens in here. So the show's protagonist, Shiro Emiya, is our protagonist, and he's a very selfless guy. He's heroic. He has no intentions of doing anything else except helping people. That's just dandy, right? Why did I stop? And I want to kind of dig into that first, because the protagonist is very important in a series. The protagonist is who you follow and who you experience everything through. And sometimes, you know, there's multiple protagonists, and one could argue that in the show, but it centers around Shiro. Like, it really, really does. But just to me personally, he wasn't that interesting of a protagonist because, you know, he's got this motive, he wants to do good, and that's all fine and dandy. Heroes are great, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't really seem to have anything big about him. Like when it comes to personality, like he's not very funny, he's not very like has some unique personality trend, and he's very normal, and that's fine for him to be normal, but it just doesn't make that interesting of a character. And then you learn stuff about him and you feel his motive. He has a very strong motivation in this series, but sometimes there has to be things that make a character more interesting than that. Now in the show there's a lot of side characters, but the main 3 that kind of are around Shiro and, you know, are with him for both the seasons is Saber, Archer, who are 2 servants, and Rin Tosaka. And by the way, Rin Tosaka is probably what a lot of otaku perverts put spice on their chicken with at night. And a lot of these characters are very like, they have cool backgrounds. They have, you know, their character designs are awesome. Especially like the servants' outfits. I loved every servant in this show. They just look cool. And Rin and a lot of the servants and other characters, they got, you know, interesting characters and development and stuff. Not necessarily development, but kind of backstories. And, you know, they're neat. But the main key thing I kind of am addressing in all this, including Shiro, is that I didn't really feel a connection with everybody. I kind of just got their stories, And there wasn't ever really a point that I felt like compelled, this person can't die, this person can't die, this person can't die. For some reason, it was just hard for me to truly understand them. Take for instance, one of the most badass characters in the show is Archer. Archer is like maybe my favorite character in the show. I'm debating about that, but Archer is such like a cool character design. I love his abilities, and his background story is freaking crazy, and I cannot get into spoilers. In fact, those spoiler comments I mentioned before, yeah, please do that shit and explain Archer to me as much as you can. I would love that, but don't ruin it. Put those spaces, do that please. But yeah, Archer's a really cool character, but the thing is that the consistent thing throughout the show, there's so much lore they throw at you really quickly. Like right in the first episode, you are thrown so much lore and so much background that you kind of have to get pretty quick. But at the same time, you'll learn it with Shiro. Shiro will learn it as well with you. But I feel like a lot of stuff through this show, you kind of have to get it quick. I don't know how to describe it. There's just so much lore in this show that made it really hard for me to truly understand it. And that in turn makes things hard to connect with. It sounds like a bad mouthing this show, but it's not. Like, cause I did enjoy it, it's fine, it's good. And the character designs are great, the set pieces are great, and I'm gonna get into what is fantastic about it. At the beginning of this, I mentioned how this show is one of the most well-animated shows ever. Hell fucking yeah. The animation in this show is straight up something I would expect from a movie. Like, no joke. You know you watch these movies of Bleach, Naruto, or Sword Art, or whatever. You watch these fight sequences in these movies and it's like, damn, they had way more budget to do these kinds of things. That's how I feel about every single fight that's in the show. Like, and even just when they're walking around doing stuff. The animation in this show is so freaking good. It's not only the best part of the show, but it's some of the best animation I've seen, period, of any anime. Not to mention the sound design is straight up like, you see those anime trailers and you hear like the sounds that the fight effects they just add in the trailer, but it's not actually like that in the show. No, this show, it's like straight up awesome sound design throughout the whole freaking thing. There's a joke flying around about this show being unlimited Budgetworks instead of Bladeworks. Yeah, pretty much. I was amused by it, I was. It's just the main thing that makes any show, movie, book, anything good is its story. Its story and its writing are the key things that make you be able to connect with this. There's some, the first season, I completely understood roughly everything that was going on, like 90%. I understood everything I needed to good. The second season, on the other hand, gets so much more deep and complex that's actually good to do. Lore, the background, how servants are created, and a lot of things that just made it hard to completely understand characters' motives and where they came from, and so many things that made certain fight sequences that would have been epic as crap if I understood where both characters were coming from. At least in full detail. Like, I still got the gist of it, but I just wish, you know, I really understood. But character designs, the animation, the music is actually, it's good. It's not great, it's good. The sound design is great. I enjoyed the first season. The first season does kind of edge you into the world and get to know it better. And then the second season is like advanced class. Like, okay, you understood the basics. Now let's get into the advanced shit. I just couldn't be able to connect with the characters as well as I wish I could have because I wasn't completely understanding the lore that was being thrown at me. And I hear the Fate State Zero show comes after this, and it's set chronologically before and it explains a lot of things. But that's not gonna change how I feel about a certain series. Like, oh, you need to watch this before, like after you watch that because it'll explain everything and make it better. Yeah, it'll make it better, but that is separate from this. Like, I don't think that's fair if you watch, say, if that was like the third season. If you watch it all together, sure, yeah, but that's not gonna change the first 2/3 of the experience that I had being kind of confused. I'm not gonna knock it down too much though, just because I was misunderstanding it, because who knows, maybe I'm just stupid and a lot of people did understand it. So I'll give Fate State Unlimited Bladeworks a B-. And yeah, please feel free to leave any comments down below, whether you've seen the show or whether you have not, and if you have seen, feel free to explain a couple spoiler things and to me, especially like the Archer shit. Like that's the biggest thing I wanted to really understand, as well as stuff about Saber, because there's a lot of characters in this, but in particular Archer and Saber, when it comes to like who they are and came from. That's stuff that I'd love your input on if you'd like. And also thank you very much to my patrons that are continuously making this content possible, guys. Really, this past month, you guys have really made a lot of things be able to work for me, and I really appreciate you guys every single day. So thank you so much for what you do. And like I said earlier, if it's your first time here, I really encourage you to kind of browse the channel if you enjoyed this video. I'm a geek that will give you something every single week, because that's what I do. I like to give out entertaining content about stuff that I really love. Otherwise, guys, check out the outro card here, and I will see you in another video.